and welcome back to Awaken, Heal and Transform. Today's episode is called Collective 5D Awakening, and it is one of my favorite topics to talk about ever since I discovered what this concept was when I started digging deep into what it meant and what it consists of, just because I felt like it had all of the answers to my questions and really made sense of the way I was feeling, because I was feeling quite disconnected from my past state of reality, let's say. So I couldn't relate to a person who I once was or the reality that I had in that state of my life. So I was feeling very disconnected, felt quite alone as well, and that's when I started doing the digging and came across this concept of the 5D awakening. And ever since I've kind of started on this, it's just opened up so much information as to where we are in our planetary alignment, and it just makes so much sense. So I really feel like it is a vital topic of conversation to discuss with you, because I'm pretty sure majority of you would have heard about the awakening that we are in the midst of at the moment, and the idea of this shift in consciousness between the 3D to the 5D. So today I am going to talk a little bit more about what the awakening is, and also talk about the different facets of reality, so 3D, 4D, 5D, and what their states of consciousness are and what they mean to us when we are in that state. So let's talk about the awakening, the big topic of conversation at the moment, and where we are at the moment as we are all beginning to wake up. The awakening, or also known as the spiritual awakening. However, I don't really love the term spiritual awakening, just because I feel like in today's society we have kind of boxed the word spirituality, and it kind of has this own category meaning of its own. So when you put spiritual in front of awakening, I feel like most people think that, oh, you need to be sort of into the spirituality category to be a part of the awakening. And how I like to see the awakening is that it is actually a grand awakening that is happening on a planetary collective level, whether we accept it, realize it, or not. So as we all know, everything in this universe is made up of energy, and we're all vibrating at different frequencies. Therefore, the awakening is really a shift in consciousness to that of a higher vibrational state. So in a higher state of consciousness, we actually have access to deeper understanding and perception of the idea of a limitless reality, and that we are our own creators. And you begin to understand that you are more than just your physical body, and you deepen the connection to a higher self, universe, or God consciousness. So now, if your next question is, how can we shift consciousness, and what is that? Well, actually, it happens more frequently than you think. So if you can imagine, when you're feeling happy, you're in a higher state of consciousness. And if you're feeling sad, you're in a lower state of consciousness, because sort of fear, sadness, all vibrate at a lower, denser energy. And happiness, joy, peace, harmony all vibrate at a higher frequency level, which is creating a higher state of consciousness within your mind. So we do it on a daily basis. And if there is one thing that is constant in this entire universe, that is change. We are always changing, always evolving. If you think about it, there is so many cycles. There is the planetary cycles, the seasonal cycles, our own body cycles of growing and our aging. And we are always changing without realizing it. We just change. And so why is the awakening happening? It's really in connection with the evolution, really, an ascension in evolution to a higher state of consciousness from our current 3D reality. So if we are currently in 3D reality, where is it that we are ascending to? Where are we moving? Where are we evolving to? So we are moving into a 5D state of consciousness. Now, this is an evolutionary process. So you can imagine this is not going to happen overnight. This can happen over an expansion of years. And according to astrologers, this point in time, this very moment in history is extremely, extremely important because we are in the new age. So according to astrologers, 21st of December 2020 marked the first day where we are now in this new age, the age of Aquarius, which you may have heard of. And it means that the awakening process is speeding up. So more and more and more people are starting to wake up to another perception of reality. And it's very, very clear when I go through what 3D, 4D and 5D are, that we are very much evolving. In order to fully ascend into this 5D consciousness, we need to rid of all of the patternings of the past. So this is not just our lifetimes, but the lifetimes before us. So our ancestors and the lineages and all of the past or wounds are required to be cleared and healed before we can fully ascend into 5D consciousness beings in a 3D body. So what is living in a state of 3D reality? So this is where majority of us in the world are at the moment. We're still very much in this 3D state. And what that means is that we view things purely from a physical perspective. So we see ourselves as an individual separate from others. We are very attached to our identities, so our appearance, our job, the people that we surround ourselves with. We attach ourselves to material things to define who we are. There's a lot of competition in the 3D reality, feeling like some people have more than others, and this lack mentality perhaps. So if you are not successful and don't have a high status, then you don't feel fulfilled. This kind of mentality is all 3D reality, where we live in a state of fear and do not feel the desire to go within or to look at things from a deeper perspective. Life just seems to go on in a linear fashion. So then there is the 4D state, which is not talked about as much. And the reason for that is because it's more of a gateway state. So we can easily go from 3D to 4D and 4D back to 3D. And they kind of merge, because in 4D, we start questioning things a little bit deeper. So we start to understand the idea that we are all connected and that there is more to life than what meets the eye. We start understanding the power of our thoughts and the idea that we can start to create our reality. So there is still duality in a 4D state of consciousness. The idea of good and bad is still experienced, but there is more compassion and understanding behind it. And another thing that happens within the 4D state of consciousness is a strong desire for a healthy lifestyle. So you start thinking a little bit more consciously about what you're putting in your body. So nutrition, you take care of your mind, body and soul technically. So meditation, yoga, how your actions are affecting the environment and those around you. And there is a really strong desire to find your purpose and your passions. So you begin to understand that life is meant to be enjoyed and that you are actually worthy to live the life of your dreams. So, does any of this sound familiar to you? As I feel like we're really in this state at the moment, and more people are starting to jump on board with this and prioritizing their well-being and all of their wellness, and they're being more conscious about, what is right for them, and we're not just going about things without questioning anymore. I feel like there is a lot more of us just being more aware, really heightening our awareness to the things around us, starting to question things, not just going with the status quo, that kind of feel. So I feel like that is super, super familiar, and a lot of us will relate to that. But because we're in that state, we can easily go back to 3D, and we can easily go back to experiencing fear. So we're kind of in this transition between the two, and then what really happens from the 4D is reaching that 5D state of consciousness. And when we do finally get to that point where we have worked through everything that requires to work through, so that we can finally maintain a stable state of 5D consciousness, we will find it very, very, very difficult to then be able to go back to a state of 3D. Because in 5D consciousness, you begin to embody that we are all one. Life becomes an adventure of growth, and everything has a higher purpose and a meaning to it. So there are stronger feelings of love, compassion, and connection with others and the universe and all living things. Understanding we are all equal, living out our own journeys with purpose, to live authentically in your truth and seek nothing else but joy. So I really do truly believe that we are on this ascension to becoming 3D beings with 5D consciousness. And this is not something unheard of either, because really what we're doing is reawakening to who we once were, our original state of being when we first came to Earth as star seeds. And it has been recorded through so many ancient civilizations, such as ancient Egyptians and the Mayans, that they had access to higher states of consciousness, creating things that not even science and technology today can quite understand. And because of that, it kind of shows that they had to be able to tap into different levels of consciousness to be able to achieve the things that they were achieving. There's more states of consciousness than just the 5D, of course, but I won't be getting into that. But the idea that civilization fell and we have been in this 3D reality for thousands of years, and finally we are returning back to who we once were. So what usually triggers a conscious awakening is a massive sudden change in our lives. Now, this could be a loss of a job, loss of a loved one, a tragic accident that you could have had where you may have died, which made you wake up and perceive life from a whole new perspective. And what I believe in, and this can be classed as one of the conspiracies around coronavirus, but I truly believe that the pandemic was nature's way of accelerating the collective awakening and almost preparing us for what is coming. Because the pandemic created sudden change in everyone's lives on a global scale. For once in our lives, we were all going through the exact same thing. And it really forced us to all go within. We had no more distractions. And personally, for me, it was an absolute blessing. And I am actually so grateful for the year 2020. And I know a lot of people that I know a lot of people that are also very thankful for 2020 for what it has allowed us to do. And what I feel like it has allowed me to do is the inner work. Finally, there was nothing more I could do but inner work. And that's what I did. So I finally answered the calling that my soul was kind of niggling at me from the beginning of 2019, when I left my corporate job without anything else lined up. I just left because I knew that there was more out there for me, but I had no idea what that was. And 2019 was a very difficult year for me because I did live in this state of fear, but I was trying not to attach myself to it. So I was kind of in this, I should be getting another job, it should be better than my last job, it should, and but yet every time I was showing up and applying and going to these interviews, I didn't feel aligned. I didn't feel like any of that was what I was supposed to be doing. But yeah, I didn't know what the thing that I was supposed to be doing was. So it was it was such a challenging time for me. Sort of, that was really a transition of understanding, right, okay, I know what corporate life is like. I didn't like it. So why am I going to just jump from one hot frying pan to another hot frying pan of the same thing, but yet just a different company? And I thought that would make it different, but in the reality, it didn't make it different, because I did end up getting another job, and I only lasted 6 weeks. Because again, there was just something within me that was saying, no, don't make these commitments. I felt like I was a slave to a system. I felt like I was a slave to a system which, from a young age, I have never believed in. So it was like 2019, I started remembering who I was as a child, and I started remembering things that I used to like and things that I used to enjoy, and I started doing them again. I started being creative again, which had been lost for just 2 years, but those 2 years felt like a lifetime. I was only in a corporate job for 2 years, but I can tell you now, it felt like a lifetime, and I felt like it drained the life out of me, and I just had to get out. There was just no other route for me other than getting out, because I wasn't living, and that wasn't the life I wanted to live. So 2019, was really this turning point for me to just finally start digging in deeper to all of the readings and things I've heard and things I believed in within me, but just actually start digging deeper in for myself and beginning the journey for me on my sort of path. And what was so great about 2020 was it really allowed me the time, without the distractions, and that time to go within, to really put into practice all of the things I'd sort of been gathering and learning in 2019, and I actually started to experience in 2020, so it was such a catalytic moment for me. And I really feel like 2020 accelerated me along my journey, and I am so deeply grateful for that. So it gave me a reason for me to show up and be of service to humanity, of something that I have always said to myself that I would do. I when I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a vet. So these are all career choices as a young child I wanted to do and they were all service orientated, of helping humanity or the planet or living beings. So I'm finally stepped into that soul calling of mine, I truly believe. And now I'm on this journey, and I'm here sharing this journey with you because it's so magnificent. And the more people start sharing their journeys, the more we encourage others to begin their journeys as well. But just know that wherever you are on your journey at this point in time, as you're listening to this, just know that whether you are consciously aware of it or not, you are being led in the direction of your soul's mission. But what we do have, and remember that there are many things that we can consciously do if you want to, that will help accelerate your process, bringing you into a deeper connection with your higher self and really allowing yourself to start going within so that you can live out your soul's purpose in this lifetime. So it is just a really, really exciting time to be alive, everyone. So yeah, thank your soul for coming back during this point in time, because we've got work to do. Having said that, if you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as I enjoyed recording this episode, please subscribe, show me some love. Also, drop me a note in the comments or just get in touch with me and let me know if there's any topics that you want me to talk about, and I would happily say yes to doing so. And with that, I will see you all next week for another enlightening episode that in one way or another will inspire to awaken, heal, or transform you. Goodbye and lots of love, beautiful beings.